Well, folks, it's a real pleasure to be joined on the line once again by a gentleman I'm a huge, huge fan of. I've got to hold my hand up and admit, and that is none other than Mr. George Lynch. Welcome back to Rockposer.com.
Thanks for bringing me back, man. How are you?
I'm pretty good actually. It's a Friday evening, so that's me relaxed, feet up. Don't have to worry about getting up too early in the morning. Thank goodness. You're coming to the end of a multitude of interviews, so you'll probably be glad when it's all over.
Yeah. As soon as we're done, I'm hopping on my bicycle and riding down the. I'm on the North Shore of Kauai actually, and sort of staying out in a couple of miles from this little town where we spend just about every day just hiking and surfing and hanging out.
So you're just making me jealous now.
Our last week. Yeah. But I'm back. I'm getting back, going back to the world tomorrow. So.
Oh, okay.
It's been 3 weeks. So.
Well, of course, what we're going to talk about is the superb new KXM album Scatterbrain, which is out March 17th on Rat Pat Records. Great that you guys have got the second album out and thoroughly enjoying it.
Thank you. You know what would really be strange? If you had called me up and not liked the record.
Well, it's very hard not to like it. It is very hard.
I mean, it's kind of your job to like it. I mean, otherwise we wouldn't be doing the interview, right?
No, that's not entirely true because people who know me only too well know I tend to put my my opinion out there on probably more occasions than it's worth. I've always been there's only two types of music for me. Music I like and music I don't like. And thankfully, the music you make is music I like.
Well, so would it be possible that we could be doing this interview if you hadn't liked the record? Would we still be doing the interview? And would you be honest with me about that?
I would be honest that I would probably be talking to you about other stuff regarding except KXM if I didn't like the record. I'll be absolutely honest with you about it. I always approach things. I never approach any album expecting to like it. I'd rather listen to the album and be honest about it rather than be someone who said, "Oh well, so and so just recorded this album, therefore it's going to be fantastic."
Mm-hmm. You know, I've done. Very few, but I've done some interviews with people that were, very honestly not liking the work that I had just done and would tell me so during the interview. It's pretty interesting, actually. And I think they had valid points, too, for the most part. And I'm all about constructive criticism. I mean, if we miss the mark, we need to learn from that.
Absolutely.
And, critics are there for a reason, right?
Yeah, they are indeed. I mean, the reason I like this album is quite simply because it is different from a lot of the other stuff that's out there at the moment. There's too much of the samey stuff out there. And the stuff that's grabbed me over probably the last 6 to 12 months is stuff that has been a little bit different or looking at stuff from maybe a different angle. And it's just a refreshing change, to be honest.
You cannot, it's pretty hard to argue that point, right? Even subjectively or objectively. I have a hard time sitting here patting myself on the back for something I just did, right? So that's going to have to be your job. I try to be my own worst critic when it comes to this stuff. And, I mean, when we're doing records, we're never completely happy with anything that we do. And I speak for the larger creative, community out there, not just myself, obviously, but any musician that I know is like that. Don't really like everything we've done, or anything we've done for that matter, completely. So it's all a work in progress. So, even this record, I don't know if you've heard the whole record.
Yes, I have. Record? Yes, I have heard the whole record.
Okay. Yeah, and for me, it's a kind of a 3/4 album. And that's a valid record. And I mean, I think that it's absolutely worth doing. It's very gratifying, but there's parts of it where I've just go, man, if we just had a little more time and a little more money, And if we were just a little bit better players and a little bit, whatever, a little bit better studio, a little bit better this, a little bit better that, it would have got there.
But if you're being so self-critical, do you find then the way that you've recorded the album by just basically recording it as a jam session has helped? Otherwise, you could have fallen into the trap of just going over and over and over again on the one track at a time and spending days over it and agonising.
I think it's a situation where it's 6 of one, half dozen the other.
Right.
We could have obviously done the rest in a traditional way, but and fine-tuned it to the point where I thought we were 100% happy with it. But we might have lost something too, and that's the trick. That's the balancing act that we had to kind of try to figure out. And we did have that discussion before we did the record about the philosophy of what the band is, and we decided with some friendly argument that, listen, this is what we've established for ourselves, and this is the parameters we've created for ourselves, and we have to work within that because that's what we are. That's what defines us. So otherwise we're just any other band.
Mm.
So and there's going to be things that are going to be frustrating because we have such limited resources and time. So it isn't going to be that record that we spent 2 years and $500,000 on. It isn't going to be that.
Yeah.
It's going to be a 12-day capture a moment in time and a space in time and live with it, for better or worse.
Did you find, obviously, even though obviously the three of you are incredibly experienced at releasing music, did you find that this being the second album that you felt almost a little bit of pressure or anxiety about what the fans are going to expect from a second album?
Just a little bit. I mean, not really anything that was debilitating. I mean, just enough to make sure that we were on edge and we were on our toes. Yeah, but it was healthy. It was a healthy amount of, whatever that word is. It wasn't a bad thing. Not at all. Not at all.
Well, obviously, you guys have gone back and Chris has produced the album once again. Obviously, he did the debut album. Was there any doubt that you were going to use Chris Collier again?
Well, there was some talk of using another producer. It's actually the guy that just did the new Korn record.
Right.
But logistically, yeah, but we couldn't get it together in time. It was just because he was doing the Korn record at the time, and we had our time booked, and we had our 12-day window of opportunity to do this or not do it at all. So we just had to, and that wasn't taking anything away from Chris. I mean, Chris he's our fourth member, our secret weapon. He's the wizard, and he's an integral part of the sound of the band. But we always want to be open to evolving. So, but yeah, we did it in a actual bona fide recording studio this time, we didn't do that on the last record. The last record, we just rented a big house in the mountains and built a studio in the house. So this time we actually went into a full-fledged recording studio, which is a luxury for us.
Obviously, you guys, because it was recorded in such a fashion, didn't pre-write the song, so to speak. Did you do any kind of preparation at all before you go in? Did you have any idea, or did you just sort of, not blindly is not the right word, did you just sort of dive headfirst in, or did you prep at all?
Let me put it this way. I tried to cheat when I was driving into the studio on the first day. I was thinking, I had a little bit of trepidation and some butterflies.
Right.
I'm thinking, man, this is crazy. And I'm doing the drive. It's like a 40-minute drive. So I started just kind of humming some ideas into my memos on my iPhone. And then when we got in the studio, hours later, and we're set up and we started going for it, I was referring to some of these ideas on my phone, and Ray caught me. Ray's the song police. He doesn't. He watches. He would bust my ass every time I tried to do something like that. He'd go, nope. And even if I had something that he felt that I was too confident with, he'd be like, you know what, dude, you thought of that before. That's something you had sitting around. He would just change it up. He'd go out of that. He'd go out of the tempo. He'd just like completely change it up to force us into a fresh new area that we had to just come up with something on the spot.
Do you find that there are so many influences in the record? I mean, we could name them all, but it's I think people are going to pick their own particular influences that they can hear in a record. Did you feel that there's certain influences you didn't want to bring in because maybe it might alienate certain parts of your fan base, or did you think, oh, sod it, we'll just do whatever?
We were pretty much going with whatever, but then, we went down some paths that were a little sideways and didn't work.
Right.
And for whatever reason. And I would say even arguably that we went down some paths that didn't work that are on the record. And I would say didn't work. It's kind of you kind of raise eyebrows a little bit. You're like, wow, this is a rock band? Or wait a minute, what are these guys doing? So we took some liberties creatively, but it's all seat of the pants gut stuff. You know what I mean? I mean, the brains are in the arrangements, but everything else, the creative part of it is just all from shooting from the hip. We're not thinking about it on a very conscious level. It's more kind of subconsciously just reacting to each other. And that's where the magic is,
So which path did you back up? Sorry, go ahead, George.
I'm saying that we just had to trust that, that creative force was gonna guide us, which it did.
So which paths did you back away from, if you don't mind me asking?
There were some things where I was getting into that I was trying to force on the guys, which they were kind of resistant to. That was, I would say, kind of super proggy, where it was an almost avant-garde, so almost Zappa-ish.
Okay.
In a way. Yeah, it was more challenging. It was just like, this wasn't groove stuff. This wasn't blues bass. This was more cerebral and complex, but almost it was kind of complexity for the sake of complexity, like trying to show off.
Okay. So more sort of technical than work. Yeah, more sort of technical than with a groove or a feel. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe technical, but coming out of like 70s art rock.
Okay.
Versus Animal as Leaders technical, or Periphery technical. It wasn't that.
But the other two obviously weren't having any of it.
Well, those kind of records could not be done in a jam situation.
Plus, you'd only get probably 2 tracks on the album.
Yeah, I mean, from what I understand, I'm a huge Meshuggah fan since Chaosphere, and from what I've learned is that they do their records in laboratories, all independently, never as a band. They're all working independently in their studios. Everything's programmed. Everything's pieced together on the computer, and they don't even learn everything as a band until they collectively get together after the record's done. And I can see that. And a record like that would have to be made that way, And that's where we went down some creative tangents that were not right for this record at this time, for this band, in that it was the wrong context. I'm not saying the ideas weren't valid, they just didn't work in context of what we were doing.
Gotcha.
because we had to finish a song. We had to conceive of, write, arrange, and record a song a day minimum, every single day.
I mean, that is a high order. That is a high order, isn't it?
Yeah.
That is a lot of pressure to put on yourselves.
Yeah. Actually, no, it was wonderful. I always looked at it like a day's work. Like if you just have a more pedestrian job, and you get up and you go to work and you need to accomplish something that day. You need to build a wall or fix somebody's toilet or deliver something, whatever the hell your job is. That was our job. Our job was to deliver this piece of music that's 4 minutes long or whatever it is, hard, with all of our collected 100 years of experience in life, you think in between the band members, you think we should be able to pull that off, right? So I guess be ashamed of ourselves if we couldn't.
Yeah, I was going to say, I guess you'd be really worried if you got to the 12th day and you'd only done 4 tracks. You'd be sweating bullets.
Yeah, well, I think there's that law that I can't think of the name of, but you'll get the amount of work done in the time you have allotted to you, period. And I found that to be true through all my decades of experience working in different bands and different budgets. Always been able to get it done with the resources that we had. And if we had a huge amount of money and time, we would use it all. And if we had a very small budget and a very finite amount of time, we would get it done in using that amount of money and that amount of time. It's crazy. So that's sort of the premise of KXM is we're going to limit the amount of money and time that we're going to be able to afford to dedicate to this project, and we're going to make this beautiful, capture this beautiful moment in time, and we're going to meet like 3 ships meeting in the dark for a week and a half, and then go our separate ways. And whatever it is, and we live with it. And it's just a wonderful experience. I mean, we all really relish it. I know we're all looking forward to doing it again.
Oh, that's good news.
It's almost like a breath of fresh air compared to all our other projects, which require a little more work, a little more time intensive.
Well, obviously the problem with the 3 of you being so incredibly busy is that I guess that the chance of you guys ever touring and doing any dates are pretty slim to zero.
Well, I don't know. I wouldn't say slim to zero. I'd say really we've talked about it a lot. Obviously.
Okay.
I mean, it's important to us. We are very frustrated because, believe me, we want to play this stuff live. We really, really do. I mean, but to make it happen, I think if the reaction to the record is really positive on all levels, we'll be forced to at some point. And we've talked about that. We will find a way to make it happen if we sell a ton of records and get tremendous reviews, and we get a lot of promoters and people asking us to do dates and making us offers, and we're going to find a way to make it happen.
Speaking of touring, of course, you being a very busy gentleman that you are coming over to the UK in November with Lynch Mob, of course, to play H.R.H., which I know a lot of people are getting incredibly excited about. And, of course, I've got to touch on the fact that the dates that you did with Dokken last year, which obviously went down an absolute storm with everybody.
Yeah, Lynch Mob, definitely. We're finally getting over there across the pond. It's been I don't even know how long it's been. It's been a while.
God, yeah, I don't know how long it's been either. H.R.H. is a great festival. It's got to be said.
It's kind of a crime because we spent so many decades, with Dokken and Lynch Mob and so forth, and I've done it on my own. Less than I'd like to, but still, they always made a point of, have to go to Europe. I mean, it's part of the world, important part of the world, and source of so much of the music that we, formed who we are, and always wanted to be accepted there and matter there, and it's gotten to the point now where it's been difficult to get over there for us. you know.
I think it is for. I mean, let's face it. It is for a lot of American bands. I mean, just from the cost side of it alone.
You know, back in the day when I was younger, of course, you know, you pick up and, you know, for next to no money and get on the back of a van and just do whatever you got to do. You just wanted to get out and play.
Mm.
But as you get older, you know, it's not that easy. You know, big families and commitments and so forth, and your body can't handle it, you know. And so that's kind of what's happened. I did get, I have had offers to go over there, but they just didn't make any sense, you know, financially, to be quite honest.
Yeah.
And really was frustrating, disappointing, because we wanted to do it. A couple of years ago, we had offers to do, you know, Sweden Rock and Hellfest and a couple other festivals.
Okay.
And good dates. But at the end of the day, when we put it all together, which you have to be practical about these things, put logistics and the budgets together, it just didn't make any sense at all. It would have been like we're beating ourselves up, you know, for very, very little money. It's just, you know, it is a job, too. You know, it has to make sense on that level, some kind of sense.
Mm.
And that's what's very frustrating about being able to get over there and really being a fixture in the European music scene. It's just maybe able to afford to do that.
If one question,
at least we are coming there for you know, a handful of dates in the UK in November, as you said.
One question I did want to ask you regarding coming over here, and I don't particularly want to put you on the spot or anything, is of course Dokken are playing Ramblin' Man Festival, literally down the road from me, as it happens, literally 20 minutes down the road from me, this summer. Was there ever a consideration for it to be in the original lineup like the shows you did last year, or was that never ever going to be on the cards?
Well, there was some talk of it, but you know, I think Don has basically decided that he wants to, you know, continue on with his version of the band, and we might do some things, one-offs here and there, or maybe something in 2018. But for right now, you know, it was what it was. You know,
of course,
7 shows. We're gonna have a live DVD, a live record, and it. Beyond that, we're keeping in communication with each other, and we're exploring our ideas. But you know, it's not a full-on reformation by any means, and we don't have any plans at the moment to get back together to do anything.
I think the problem was that a lot of fans, as soon as they saw the announcement, just automatically assumed that it was going to be the original lineup, because it was. For want of a better phrase, it probably wasn't announced as well as it could have been to what the lineup was going to be. I mean, I'm not disappointed either way, because my good friend Chris McGarville, I will get to catch up with him. Obviously, he's playing bass with Don. But, hey, I'm going to keep my fingers crossed. It would be great to have the original lineup back up over in the UK at some point. You know, what one can only hope, because it's been too many bloody years since I've seen that lineup. I'm not going to count how many years that was.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you know, it kind of goes without saying that Don is definitely using the reunion as a catalyst for his own version of the band.
Of course.
And he's more than happy to let people assume that they're coming to see the reunion version of the band. And that's going to pay off for him handsome, you know. And that's frustrating for me. We knew that was going to happen.
Gotcha.
We've even seen shows advertised using our names.
Ooh.
You know, as the reunion Dokken when it obviously isn't.
Yeah, that's not good.
And it's kind of fucked up, because obviously you're misrepresenting what you're selling, and you know, it's just very kind of underhanded and kind of shitty thing to do. But you know, that's the music business. That's human nature. That's people do. Not going to change that. So. But you know, we had a nice little run. It was fun to be back together with the guys and all the, you know, the
That's
original personalities, and quirks, and sense of humor and everything. It was great.
If I can,
I'm glad it happened.
Excellent. If I can round things off by just saying, so what's in the future for yourself now, music-wise? What are you working on?
Well, we got a new Lynch Mob record called The Brotherhood in the Can. That's coming out in June.
Excellent.
We're working on some videos for that. I'm in the middle of writing for 2 albums at the moment. One is the second Sweet and Lynch record, the follow-up to the first one.
Oh, you're doing the second one? Oh, right, okay.
Yeah, where it's Brian Fitchie, James Lomenzo, Michael Sweet, and myself. Same lineup, same studio, recording it the same way, doing the same idea behind that. And then I have a band called, it was called Unimog, but is now called The Banishment. And that's with Tommy Victor from Prong on vocals.
Okay.
And that's a project that's been kind of batting around for a few years. But we're finishing it up with Tommy on vocals, and that's called The Banishment. And then I've got another project called Ultraphonics, which is basically Project Infidelica with a new singer. We had Angela Moore.
Yes.
From sorry, I'm trying to do 2 things at once here. Angelo Moore from Fishbone, and we replaced him with Corey Glover from Living Color. And we're working on that record as we speak as well.
What was the reason for the change in vocal? I didn't actually realise that there had been a change in vocalist on that project. What was the reason for that? Just conflict of time or interest, or?
Well, I think we all agreed that it was a really awesome, rewarding, strange, interesting project.
Yeah.
Angelo, we love Angelo. He's a saint, and he's just a creative monster. He's a genius.
Mm.
But he really pulled the band in a direction that was really more his side project, rather than utilizing the abilities of all the components of the band.
Right.
Meaning, Pancho Tomaselli, myself, Chris Moore on drums. Really a phenomenal fucking band. And Angelo is very stubborn in his ways, and that's wonderful, but wasn't really much of a team player. And I'm not even saying that in a bad way. It just is what it is. And it really took the rock element away, which I think was something that we missed. So, anyways, the stuff with Corey now is still got the funk, still got all that, but it's got the rock thing, got the rock element as well, which I think is important. We needed to do that. So.
I mean, I can remember when we last spoke, when you were talking about this particular project, and I got quite excited at the time, anticipating what it was going to sound like. I've got to say, I am really intrigued to what it's going to be like with Corey on vocals. If it is what I hope it's going to be like, it's going to be absolutely fantastic.
It is. It's phenomenal. I mean, we're about halfway through the record, and like I said, at its core, it's a rock record, but it's got the funk too. I mean, you got bass player from Tower of Power and War. It's definitely going to get funky. Got a little East LA in there, a little bit of that stuff. So
I'm quite happy with that. I'll go along with that.
Yeah, very adventurous record, but it's all ass shaking at the same time.
Well, George, I'll tell you, it's been an absolute pleasure chatting to you once again. Once again, fantastic album, Scatterbrain. I hope the fans love it as much as I do, because it is just nice to have something out there that's different and refreshing and gives you a bit of a kick up the arse.
Yeah, man, and hopefully the fans will make us tour on it.
I hope so. I'm going to keep my fingers crossed on that. George, you take care, and hopefully I'll speak to you again soon.
I'll see you in November, hopefully.
Cheers, mate.
Okay, bye.